Morning, y'all. I am Ro Kelly. I'm going to be your worship associate this morning, and my pronouns are they, she, and I, along with Reverend D. Evans, welcome you to Eliot Chapel. Here at Eliot, we are Unitarian Universalists, meaning we are a free, liberal congregation aspiring to the ideal of beloved community. So, welcome. Carol Glauser is available today for pastoral care. If there is anything weighing on your heart this morning, please see Carol after service. And if you or any of your little ones feel like you need to get up and move around, please know that you can head over to Adams Hall. Our live feed is not working right now, but you can run around all you'd like, if you'd like. And there will also be snacks after service in Adams Hall for you and your little ones. And you're also welcome to take any kids to the playground after this if you'd like. It's a little cloudy, but still. And to our guests, thank you so much for being here. Marilyn Shepard is here, our welcome person. Marilyn, thank you. And Marilyn will answer any of your questions that you have about our congregation or about UUism in general. And you can see Marilyn after the service as well. And our guests, please know there are guest forms at both entrances to the sanctuary, and there's also a QR code on the screen. So please fill those out so we can stay in touch with you. And also please join us for coffee hour right after this. And when you get there, make sure you take a blue mug so that we know that you're new, and we will be sure to welcome you. And if you're a friend or a member and you see those blue mugs, please go say hello to our guests. And we also have an online coffee hour at 1:30, if that is more your style. And now I invite you, as you wish, to join in our welcome today by responding with, "You are welcome here," at the end of each of these statements. If you are black, brown, white, indigenous, APIA, whatever your origins, you are welcome here. If you are an immigrant, a refugee, or a person without documentation, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or what your gender identity, you are welcome here. If you have a disability, visible or invisible, or if you're neurospicy, you are welcome here. If you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. If you want for nothing or struggle each day just to make it through, you are welcome here. And if you have been here 1,000 times or just came for the very first time today, you are welcome here. For this is a community of diversity, of love, and of justice, and it is good to be together. Let us now enter into the spirit of worship. Thank you so much, Bob. I know y'all can't see it from here, but there's so much footwork to that organ. That's incredible. All right. So the flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism that we light when entering sacred space, with the bowl representing beloved community and the flame representing the divine spark in each of us. Our chalice lighting words come to us today from UU Reverend Elizabeth Betts Wanaki. May this flame, symbol of transformation since time beginning, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within us and around us. Team effort. All right, y'all, if you can please rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, number 96, and remain standing for our congregational covenant.
Unitarian Universalism is a covenantal religion. It is what we make, the promises we make to each other for how we want to be with each other. Let us join in speaking our congregational covenant. As a free congregation, we promise to one another our mutual support. To create beloved community, we promise to be kinder to each other than we have to be, to listen fully to each other with an open mind and heart, to speak responsibly and respectfully, and to find ways to improve our church for all members and friends. Please be seated.
Every week, we share our offertory with a community organization that reflects our values and commitment to service. This month, we are pleased to be sharing our plate with Abortion Action Missouri. Abortion Action Missouri is the leading grassroots pro-abortion organization in Missouri. They envision a world with stigma-free abortion access and reproductive freedom for all. Their mission is to foster and sustain a Midwest movement where all have autonomous control over their own bodies, their own lives, and their own futures. You can donate through the plate that is going to be passed around, or through the QR code on the screen, or the QR code in your order of service. We practice generosity here, knowing that our gifts create ripples of love and care in our community, so let us be a generous people. Please join me in dedicating this offering to the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action. We dedicate our lives and these our offerings.
We don't seem to have children here, but we're still going to give our wisdom story. And the story is how Lucy's father helped her be curious about being in the military. Lucy was so excited, she would not be taking the bus home from school. Her dad was going to pick her up. She walked out of the school building, and there was her dad in his uniform, waiting like other parents were by their cars. She ran up to him, and they got into the car. And then he asked her if she needed ice cream. Of course she did. After ice cream, she and her dad went home and made dinner for her mom. The next day when Lucy got to school, Ethel ran toward her yelling, "Your dad is bad. He goes to war. Your dad is evil." Suddenly, Maria was standing by Ethel, and both of them were saying, "Soldiers are evil and bad and go to war." Lucy was so surprised that she didn't say anything. She just walked into her classroom. At recess, she told the teacher she had a headache and asked to stay in. She dreaded getting on the bus with Ethel and Maria, afraid they would start again, but they didn't. That night, she told her father what happened. So he asked her, was she curious about soldiers? And Lucy said, "Well, yeah." And then her father said, "Well, I'm not really a soldier. I'm an airman, and that's because I'm in the Air Force. And Marines are in the Marines, and soldiers are in the Army, and sailors are in the Navy. But we're all military. Do you understand?" "Yes," she said, "I think so. It's like the kind of grades we have in school." "Sort of," her father said. And then he asked Lucy if she thought he was bad. Surprised, Lucy said, "No." "Well, do you think soldiers are bad? And Lucy answered, well, they go to war. And her father said, so do airmen, Marines, and sailors. Wars may not always be good, but we go to war to protect people and keep people safe. But everybody in the military does a lot of other things. He told Lucy that he worked in transportation, which got trucks and cars and vehicles wherever they were needed for the military, all over the world. They also got supplies and other things where they were needed. Now, he told her, people do many things in the military. You can be a doctor or a lawyer or even a minister, which they call chaplains. And he said, if you have any more questions, you can ask me anytime. And Lucy said, well, maybe tomorrow. The next day, Lucy went to school. She walked right up to Ethel and Maria. She stood tall and said, my dad is an airman in the Air Force, and you don't seem to know much about the military. The two girls looked at her. So it's not nice, Lucy said, to say people are bad if you don't know much about them. I don't know how you can meet some soldiers, but if you're curious about some airmen, I can ask my dad to talk to you. The two girls looked surprised. So Lucy said, think about it. And she had a very good day. Let us enter into the spirit of prayer. Our words today are by Jennifer Cottrell. Each week we bring our joys and sorrows to this community, that our sorrows may be carried with the support of others and our joys may be magnified. On this Sunday before Memorial Day, there is one great sorrow that we collectively share, the sorrow of those individuals in the armed services who lost their lives in war. Today we remember them and grieve their loss. We remember those who joined the armed services by choice and those who had no choice. We remember those who fought in wars with just cause and those that had no just cause. We remember those who sacrificed their life for wars they believed in and for those who sacrificed their lives for wars they did not. We remember those who have gone missing and were never found. We remember those civilians who died as collateral damage in wars. We remember the loved ones those who were lost have left behind. We pray for world leaders that they make wise choices to prevent wars. We pray for those around the world who are currently suffering the ravages of war. We pray for peacemakers who strive for the end of many conflicts around the world. We remember, and we pray for peace. Let us enter into a time of silence for the prayers and meditations of our hearts. Let us speak the names who we would hold in care. Luis. Luis Ortiz, who was a long-time member, but who has not been with this congregation for a while, has passed, and I just wanted to present that so people who may know him will be aware of it. Amen and blessed be. Let us remain seated for hymn number 142, Let There Be Light.
Our reading this morning is a poem by Captain Reverend Nicole McKay, who was the first UU military chaplain in the Canadian Armed Forces. Her poem is titled, "We Gather to Remember." We gather to remember those who could not grow old, and those forced to grow old before their time. We gather to mourn and grieve with one another all of our losses, the people, the stories, the loved ones, and the futures that could have been. We gather to do the hard work of facing the difficult realities of our present and our past, where there is conflict, violence, war, and hatred. We gather to hold space and try to make meaning for history to help us work for peace and peace. We gather to rekindle our source of hope for our future, recognizing one another, shared humanity, join in considering better tomorrow. We gather to need unity in all of this work. This concludes it.
You. Good morning. Today, about us. Last year, are they going to come up this year? I wanted to speak about new life and spring because it's May. And I was excited when I saw in Soul Matters that the theme for the month of May was awakening curiosity. I was delighted. And then I realized that it was Memorial Day weekend. And I was thinking about ways of raising curiosity when I realized that it's time we honor the military personnel who died while in the armed services. I wanted to but could not ignore Memorial Day. Too many of my family served in the military. My grandmother was a military nurse, and my grandfather was a medic in World War I. That's how they met. My father and uncle were veterans, and they served in World War II. My husband and our friends were Vietnam veterans. I could not ignore the veterans I served during my internship at the VA hospital in Shreveport, Louisiana. I wanted to talk about pleasant things, beautiful things, but instead I kept being drawn to honoring those who died in all our wars. To be transparent, my stance is usually anti-war and pro-veteran. 3 experiences in my life helped me formulate that stance. One was a speech I gave in my 20s when I belonged to Toastmasters Club. Toastmasters teaches public speaking. I gave a speech on the Vietnam War. In the critique, I received a lot of kudos. I was both surprised and delighted. After the Toastmasters meeting was over, one of my mentors asked if I had time for a cup of coffee and further feedback about my speech. My curiosity was awakened about why he wanted to give me further critique when my speech was so well received. But as we drank coffee, he told me I should never be naive about the topics I spoke on. He said I was very naive about the Vietnam War and naive about war in general. I lived through the Vietnam War era and read everything about it while it was going on. Furthermore, I did research for my speech. But Reuben clarified for me that most wars are not fought for ideals, even though people tell us they are. While we were publicly told that we supported democracy in Vietnam, a huge factor in fighting that war was the access to the oil off the seas and basins of Vietnam. He further told me that a huge part of the withdrawal from the Vietnam conflict was that it was found that the seas were so rough that it would be prohibitive to dwell there. If you want to do further research, because of new equipment and advances in technology, they are now drilling off those waters, not us, but them. Reuben informed that wars may be fought for ideals, but they are mainly fought for power over people, territory, or resources. Why did I believe Reuben? Because he was a prominent attorney whose practice was oil and gas leases in the United States and in other countries. So after my conversation with Reuben, my stance about war is to be very wary of the reasons anyone says about why they are going to war. So those who serve during war are put in circumstances that are murky at best. So while I have an anti-war stance, I have a deep respect for those who are serving and who did serve in the military. For this Memorial Day weekend, I would like to investigate how our values, which arise out of love, can help us look at those who gave their lives for us and look at it with curiosity and a new way of thinking about those who serve in the military. So Reuben was my first experience in developing an anti-war but pro-military stance. I was watching an interview with the Dalai Lama on PBS, and this is the second way I developed this stance. The Dalai Lama was asked if killing would ever be justified. I had just begun studying Buddhism, and so I understood from what I read that in Buddhism, killing is never justified. I blurted out in my living room, no, to the answer, is killing justified? Now, a month or so ago, a politician who is a very recent convert to Catholicism took the Pope to task for allegedly not knowing Roman Catholic theology. Yes, that happened. However, I know that the Dalai Lama is wiser than I am. I sat quietly in my living room after I blurted out no and waited for the Dalai Lama's answer. And for once in a TV program, no interviewer interrupted him. They too waited quietly. Finally, the Dalai Lama answered, and I remember his response was something like this: if a person does serious harm to others, not you, but others, if every means were tried to stop that person from harming others, and no one could stop that person, killing may be justified to stop that person from doing harm to others. So while I do not support the war, I understand that those who go to war may be called on to prevent harm to others. Let us turn to our value of pluralism to attempt to get a deeper understanding of why we should honor those who gave their lives for us in the wars. Article 2 says that pluralism means we celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and our commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. If we take this value seriously, then we realize that those who gave their lives while serving in the military are sacred beings, just as non-military persons are. Furthermore, they went on their own search for truth and meaning and decided to serve in the military. Those who were drafted and gave their lives had a choice to remain, or as many did during the Vietnam era, to leave the country. I used to think that leaving the country was more honorable than serving in the military, despite having evidence from my own relatives that veterans are good people, and the people who died for us were good people. If I had understood that I should honor their free and responsible search for truth and meaning, even when I might disagree with someone, I would not have been so anti-veteran at the time. I did not honor their decision to serve, nor did I have the curiosity to ask them about why they entered the military and why they decided to serve. I did not embrace curiosity. The only person I asked was my husband, and it took years for him to speak about why he went and the impact it had on him. By that time, I had begun to change my stance. The third experience that helped me realize what it means to serve in the military took place during my internship at the VA hospital. Despite my relatives who were veterans and my husband being a Vietnam veteran, I did not want to do my internship in the VA hospital. I read about what our military did while we were in Vietnam, and I was painting all the military with the same brush that the newspapers painted them. They all committed atrocities, except, of course, my husband and those I loved. That's how narrow my thinking was. But my university was strict about where we did our internships, and the VA was the only approved place in Shreveport, Louisiana. I was there about 3 weeks when I was assigned another patient. I went to meet him, and we found a mutual time in our schedules to meet for therapy. This encounter took maybe 3 minutes at the most. 2 days later, I went to get him for our appointment. I was standing in the door of his room when suddenly we heard bang, 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 and it continued rapidly. Before I could think, I was swept over my feet and pulled under the veteran's bed. He was covering my body with his and cursing because he did not know where his weapon was. In between his cursing, he told me I would be okay and not to move and to stay under him so the bullets would hit him first. When the banging finally stopped, I knew 2 things. One, that a man who did not know me just saved my life. The second thing was that whatever that sound was, it was not gunfire because alarms did not go off and the unit was not flooding with security. The veteran told me to stay where I was while he looked for his weapon. I won't go into how we talked him down and helped him realize that he was not back in Vietnam, but in this hospital in the United States. And we did tell him it was only a bedpan rattling across a terrazzo floor. What I do know is that I thanked him for saving me. You see, we both thought it was gunfire. A man who met me for 3 minutes shielded my body with his. When I went home that evening, I told my husband this remarkable story. My husband looked at me, puzzled. He said, "Oh." I said to him, "You don't understand. This man did not know me. We thought it was gunfire. He put his body over to save me." And then my husband said, "Yeah, that is what he was supposed to do. That is what he was trained to do." That veteran and my husband taught me that day the principle of interdependence, a value I still cherish. His heroic action raises my curiosity about what it really means to be in the military. I thought incorrectly that it meant you lose your life while engaging in what we determine is combat with the enemy. I did not have enough curiosity to realize that being in the military also means that you give your life to save others. The U.S. government has a website listing the numbers of military who died in World War II, World War I, the Korean War, the Vietnam conflict, the Persian Gulf War, the Desert Shield, and Desert Storm conflicts. Reading about those losses, I learned those statistics really are not accurate. They do not include those missing in action and may or may not include military nurses and medics. They may not include those who later died from wounds and so on. And we should honor all military personnel who gave their lives for us, and all are not honored. So I ask you to think about those who served, those who cared about the interdependence of life, and gave their lives so the rest of us could go on. I want you to think about them using the values of pluralism and interdependence. So Memorial Day is to honor those who died while serving in the military. It has another purpose, to mourn those who gave their lives. I know very few people who died while serving in the military. I don't know them personally. So how do we mourn people we don't know? One way is to recognize the sacrifice they made. Another is to realize their lives were cut short and they were deprived of spiritually growing and further transforming. Our value of transformation reminds us that we are committed to growing spiritually and spiritually and ethically, but they were deprived of that because they gave their lives for us. Mourning them is recognizing how sad that is. We can honor them by supporting those who lost family members to wars and to suicides while serving in the military. The U.S. government is now keeping statistics on those who commit suicide while serving in the military. But I would like to turn to our value of equity. Equity says that every person has the right to flourish with love and dignity and compassion, and that we use our time and money to fully build accessible and inclusive communities. I want to point out that we have denied some of our veterans the right to flourish with dignity. Now, I know there is a Veterans Day that honors the sacrifices of those who served in the military, the veterans that have died but not in war, or who have who are still living, who are veterans. But I want to share another story of a veteran. This didn't happen at the VA hospital, but as I served as a psychologist for the state of Illinois, a veteran came into our hospital insisting he died while he was in the military. He insisted he was not the same person. You see, he was correct. He was deprived of the right to flourish due to his military service. But he was not legally dead, but in a way he died. He kept telling us he was not the person who went into the military, that person died and he was someone else. We thought it was some form of psychosis or a delusion, but medicine had no effect on him saying this. Then after a while, we learned about the brain injuries caused by training on and using heavy weaponry. These veterans suffer brain damage due to the shock waves caused by practicing with or firing those weapons. They can cause more than one type of brain injury. But unlike people who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, no amount of therapy or medication is going to help them. The brain injuries from weapons cause changes in the brain structure. They cause cognitive problems and other damage to blood vessels in the brain. The veteran's insistence that he was not the person he was when he went into the military was not psychosis. That person may have not physically died, but he was no less gone because the brain damage had in effect killed the person he was. And while some may say that story belongs to Veterans Days, I chose to include it because Memorial Day is the time for honoring those who gave their lives while serving in the military. I think those veterans who suffer brain damage that make them feel like they are a different person deserve to be remembered too. So I want to awaken our curiosity about the veterans. I really, really wanted to speak about spring and flowers and possibility and curiosity. But how could I? How could I ignore what veterans have done for us? May we use our Unitarian Universalist values as a new lens to understand what serving in the military means. And while we may be anti-war, may we always remember those who served and gave their lives while serving. So may it be. Please rise in body and in spirit for our closing hymn, and then remain standing as we close the service. Please, we're going to sing hymn 301, Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky.
Okay, before we extinguish our chalice, I just wanted to let you all know that there's going to be a new member book signing after the service in the sanctuary, so if you would like to hang out for that, just move to the front, and if not, just head on over to Adams Hall. Okay, and now let us extinguish our chalice and share our benediction. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Bob, thank you, Beth, thank you, David. And now may the spirit of life hold you, may love bless you, and may joy find a place in your days. Love to you all. Go in peace.